March 15th, 1955. A restaurant owner stands outside an office in Harlem, about to do something that would have been unthinkable 24 hours ago. His business is collapsing. His suppliers won't return his calls. His customers have vanished. And it all happened without a single punch being thrown. This is the story of how one man's moment of hatred became a masterclass in power, and why the response he received changed not just his life, but the way an entire community understood justice. This is the story of Bumpy Johnson's 24-hour lesson. Harlem, 1955. The neighborhood was at a crossroads. On one side, black families building lives, creating culture, spending money in local businesses. On the other, business owners who'd been there for decades. Some welcomed the change, others resented it quietly. Vincent Mella ran one of Harlem's oldest Italian restaurants, third generation, respected, profitable. But Vincent had a problem he thought was a secret. It wasn't. March 14th, evening. Bumpy Johnson walks into Mella's with two associates. Now, if you don't know who Bumpy Johnson was, he controlled the numbers game in Harlem, had connections from City Hall to organized crime, and most importantly, he was fiercely protective of his community. Vincent sees him enter, and something snaps.
"We don't serve your kind here." The restaurant goes silent. 50 people freeze mid-meal. Everyone knows who Bumpy is. Everyone knows what those words mean. But Bumpy doesn't react. He just looks at Vincent with complete calm, straightens his tie, and says 4 words: "I'll see you tomorrow." Then he walks out. Vincent thinks he's won. He's just made the worst miscalculation of his life. Here's what Vincent didn't understand. Bumpy never made moves based on emotion. He made moves based on information. And for 6 months, Bumpy had been documenting every complaint about Mela's restaurant, the subtle discrimination, the way black customers got seated in the back, the muttered comments. He'd been mapping Vincent's entire operation, who supplied his food, who collected his garbage, who delivered his linens. Bumpy had built a file. He was just waiting for Vincent to reveal who he really was, and now he had.
That night, Bumpy made a series of phone calls. Food distributor? Done. Linen service? Gone. Garbage collection? Stopped. Ice delivery? Refrigerator repair? Electrician? All cut off. But here's the genius part. Bumpy didn't use threats. He didn't need to. These were businesses owned by or connected to the black community. Businesses that prospered because Bumpy created the conditions for them to succeed. One phone call. Vincent Mella disrespected our community in public. Handle it as you see fit. Then Bumpy made one more call to the community itself, the churches, the social clubs, the barber shops. By morning, every black resident in Harlem knew what happened, and they knew what to do about it. Next morning, Vincent opens his restaurant feeling proud. He'd stood his ground against a gangster. 7 a.m., food delivery doesn't show. 8 a.m., no linens, no ice. 9 a.m., garbage still rotting in the alley. Vincent starts to worry, but he pushes through. He's got enough supplies for one day. Then 10 a.m. hits. Nobody comes, not a single customer. His lunch rush, 60% black clientele, has evaporated. But worse, his white customers start getting calls. "You heard what happened at Mella's? Bumpy might be watching who goes in there." By noon, Vincent is standing in an empty restaurant with spoiling food and no way to fix anything.
The silence is suffocating. No clinking silverware, no laughter, just the hum of the lights and the sweet, sickening smell of meat beginning to turn in the broken refrigerator. Vincent sits alone at a table his grandfather built, staring at empty chairs, feeling the weight of 30 years collapsing on his chest like a physical thing. 2 p.m., his refrigerator breaks. The repair guy won't answer. 3 p.m., every supplier in Manhattan has him blacklisted. 5 p.m., health inspector shows up. Someone called in a complaint. Vincent's cousin visits that evening. You insulted Bumpy Johnson in public. Every service you need to run this place answers to him. You know what you have to do. Vincent knows. 30 years of family legacy is about to disappear unless he does the one thing his pride won't let him do. But his pride isn't paying the bills anymore. 7:23 p.m. Vincent stands outside Bumpy's office. He's led inside. Bumpy sits behind his desk, same calm expression, like he's been expecting this all day, because he has been. "I believe you have something to say to me." Vincent apologizes, stumbling, desperate, begging to save his restaurant. Bumpy lets the silence stretch. Then he speaks. "That word you used wasn't just an insult. It was a choice. You chose to see me as less than human, but here's what you didn't see, that I had the power to erase you without lifting a finger."
Violence is easy. Any fool with a gun has power for 5 seconds. But I dismantled your world in 24 hours using nothing but the community you thought didn't matter. That's real power. And now you understand what you never did before. You don't own Harlem. Harlem allows you to exist in it. Bumpy lays out the terms. Tomorrow, services resume, customers return. But Vincent will hire black staff. He'll treat every customer with equal respect, and every Sunday he'll donate to the Harlem Community Fund. Not because I'm forcing you, because you're finally going to understand what it means to be part of something bigger than your hatred. Vincent agrees to everything. Bumpy leans forward, his voice dropping to something colder than Vincent has ever heard. "If I ever hear that word leave your mouth again, you won't get a phone call, you won't get a warning. You'll just wake up one morning and realize you have nothing left. Do we understand each other?" Vincent understands. He leaves to save his restaurant. The story spread through Harlem overnight. A white business owner had disrespected Bumpy Johnson, and in 24 hours, without violence, Bumpy brought him to his knees. The message was clear. Respect wasn't optional anymore. But here's where the story gets interesting. Vincent kept his word. He hired James Wilson and Robert Taylor as waiters, Dorothy Mae Johnson as a cook. Her fried chicken became the most popular dish on the menu. And slowly, working alongside his black employees, serving customers who became regulars, Vincent changed. 5 years later, when white men tried to start trouble with a black couple at his restaurant, Vincent threw them out himself. "We don't serve your kind here," he told them. This time, he meant racists.
Mella's stayed open until 1978. When Vincent retired, he sold the building to one of his black employees at a price well below market value. When asked about that night in 1955, Vincent would say, "Bumpy Johnson taught me more in 24 hours than I'd learned in 30 years. Respect isn't about color, it's about humanity." This story became legend not because of revenge, but because of what it proved about real power. Bumpy Johnson could have destroyed Vincent Mella. Instead, he gave him something more valuable than mercy. He gave him a mirror. And here's what most people miss about this story. It wasn't about teaching one racist restaurant owner a lesson. It was about showing an entire city that power doesn't come from who you can hurt. It comes from who you can change. Every business owner in Harlem understood the message. Every person who'd ever been disrespected saw what true justice looked like. Not fists, not fire, strategy. But there's one more thing Bumpy did that night that nobody talks about. Something that would reshape Harlem's economy for the next 2 decades. Something that made him not just feared, but untouchable. That story, that's for next time.